Hello everyone, how's everyone doing today? In today's video, I will be giving my initial thoughts on The Outer Worlds 2. I've put in about 32 hours of playing the game, and I have to say, I'm really enjoying my time with the game. If you loved or enjoyed the first game, I think you'll be very satisfied with the sequel. How does this game begin? Well, first, let's talk about the ending of the first game. After saving Phineas Wells, he talks to us and he brings up how the Earth Directorate vanished without a trace, and half of the colony's entire military was on that ship. Let's hear it from the man himself.
You might have heard of the Earth Directorate's frigate. Half the colony's entire military was on that ship. They were returning to Earth when they vanished without a trace. That was 2 years ago. We haven't heard a word from them since. Whatever happened to Earth likely happened to them. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth. We don't know what they discovered when they arrived, or if they arrived at all.
So, in the intro of the game, it starts off with a commander and an agent named Buddy. It's a serial series in this universe that promotes Earth Directorate. It shows named Zane busting down a door, punches him in the, and then you see Buddy bust down another door, and you see a guy in a monocle, and he runs up to him and punches the shit out of him. Both of them are together, and three of them, Robot and Zane and Buddy, just start mowing them down. And then they end it off saying, "Remember, your neighbor's government has turned tyrannical or sold themselves out to greedy corporate interests. Just commandeer a skip drone and send to the Earth Directorate as an SOS." And then there's a another PSA saying it'll take 6 years to 10. And then after that, it straight up cuts to us as a character creator. After the video ends, we start by creating our own character of how we want him or her to look. What I love about this is that the first section, we can have our character have all four of our limbs to be prosthetic. It's awesome. I always play as a guy because I imagine myself in the game, so I make my guy bald and a beard. Easy enough. I want to add spice things up. I just add a scar. After creating our character, we have to pick our background. There's many like professor, ex-convict, gambler, lawbringer, renegade, and roustabout. What I love about the sequel is that when we pick our background, it opens up different unique settings for us to have in conversations. It could open up a different path, or if we pick ex-convict, there's one section in the game that there's a weapon you want, and you can either get it from the guy who is like the mayor or whatever, and you can get it from him after beating the main one part of the main quest, or you could be an ex-convict and then I guess like rig it up where you can just steal it. You know what I mean? So I think that's very unique and awesome because in conversations, it doesn't you don't have to be like a brilliant guy, like a professor, or what was the other one? Hold on. You don't have to be like a professor or a gambler or a lawbringer, but they all of those actually do pop up in a conversation. It could be any conversation from a vendor, of the mayor, of a sheriff. It doesn't matter, and I think that is really, really, really cool. And I love that they added that in there. It reminds me a fuck ton of Fallout New Vegas. And people are going to say, well, Obsidian made it. Yeah, no shit, Obsidian made it. That's why I love the Outer Worlds 1 and 2 so far. And this is just my initial thoughts. But yeah, this is why I love the Outer Worlds. I think it's really cool because they use stuff from New Vegas and they bring it into their games. And I think that is awesome. After we picked our background, we go to traits. Now, on traits, there's multiple kinds like brawny, brilliant, heroic, innovative, lucky. Now, what I picked brilliant and lucky. The reason I picked brilliant is because it gives us an additional skill point where I'll have three. I could have three mains instead of the traditional two that you have in the base game. That's what I did in the I'm still in my first playthrough, obviously, but I restarted because I didn't like that. I wanted to know if there's something I missed, and I saw brilliant as a trait, and I was like, I'm a fucking idiot. Why not? So I picked that one and I loved lucky. And so I was like, all right, cool. So if you want an additional skill point or a major skill, you could pick brilliant. It's the perfect thing to do. That's what I picked personally. All right. So after we picked our two traits, right? We have to pick negative traits. Now, what are those negative traits? They're this, right? You can only get to pick one. So that's very, very good. There's abrasive. That just means that people don't want to talk to you. They hate talking to you. And it also negatively affects your reputation. You can never go above neutral of your reputation from anyone. And then there is another one called dumb. No bullshit. What it means is, you know how I was telling y'all earlier that you only get two main skill sets. Unless you take brilliant, you get three. So if you take dumb, you can only go as high as five for those majors. And what you call it? That is just horrible. I decided not to do that. That was just redonkulous. Sorry. I forgot I had my headphones on. And the last trait is sickly. So only thing that means, and I got to remember this right here, you lose your base health of 15% and you get negative 15 toxicity crash threshold. Which means if you, anytime you use your inhaler, it'll you have small of amount of it, you being addicted to it or some shit. That's what I took out of it. Or it's gonna toxify you where you'll get poisoned and shit like that. So out of all those were bad. I picked sickly because in my opinion, that was the best out of both outcomes. Why would I want to only have 5 skills whenever I could go probably to 12 or something like that? You know what I mean? I don't know what the base is. I haven't gotten that far yet. And the fucking my reputation, I want to go high because if you get as high from what I saw on more of a tutorial in the beginning of the game, they said the highest you can get with your reputation, you could get more like special treatment and stuff like that. Like maybe if you have to deal with like anti-choice or anti or not Spacer's Choice or Anti Clio or whoever, they'll give you straight up benefits. Like they'll give you a discount on or some shit from their vending machines or anything like that. Now that we picked our negative traits, we have to go to our skills. The skill set that I picked was engineering, sneak, and lock picking. The only reason I did that because out of all those were the best choices for me. And you will need a lockpick and hacking. Basically all the skills are useful, but I needed lockpicking and engineering were the main two ones I saw a lot in my 32-hour playthrough. And lockpick. All those three I just named off. I've seen more of those than rifles. What else is there? I'm saying a lot. Sorry. It's just how I'm trying to remember. My brain's like, anyways. So I've seen mainly those three out of all the others. I mean, you could get medical or straight up speech checks and stuff like that. Hire those, and then you could get unique like dialogue options and everything like that. Our mission is to rendezvous with Agent Deveras to assist her in retrieving information about the skip drives that are causing rift anomalies. As soon as we get our mission brief with the chief, we run into Niles Aurora. After we finish talking with Niles, we head to the captain's quarters and we get our credentials so we can speak to Agent Deveras. Once we go to the computer and insert the credentials into the computer, a screen appears and we see Augustine Deveras. He skips the pleasantries and tells us that Arcadia is ruled by a dictatorship called the Projectorate. I'm not gonna lie. I mess that name up all the time, even on my live streams on Kick, and I straight up still fuck up. Even now, I just stuttered. So I still to this day mess up on that because it's like, why projector it? Or just call yourselves like something else. Like, what the fuck, dude? Agent Deveras tells us that when we get to her, we will be liberating a unsealed skip core. She tells us that we need the unsealed one because it will help the scientists figure out what's causing the rifts. She tells us once we land, we need to shut down their communications so they won't be able to alert anyone else to our presence. One of my agents tries to lighten the mood, but Deveres gets agitated and snaps at my agent. Her name was Helen Pascal. I ain't take kindly to that, so I told her off. She didn't like that either. So she questioned our professionalism, and I told her that we'd get the job done, that the mission will not be in jeopardy. And she said, "We shall see." And after all that, I spoke to Helen. She told me that she was skeptical of what was going on with Agent Deveres. The whole interaction made me feel suspicious of Augustine. After talking with my crew, oh, actually, skip all that last part. Skip that last one I just did. Now, I'm going to future me. I am speaking to the camera now. Yeah, that whole interaction with Agent Deveres made me very skeptical of her and very being easily snapped on. I get it, she's undercover and everything like that, but if you're asking for help to get a unsealed skip core that maybe has the answers that going to fucking solve what's going on with the rifts and everything, yeah, might not want to be a bitch. 'Cause she was being a bitch, and, I think on the first time when I very first booted it up, remember I had to reset because I didn't like how I built my character. So I re-listened to all that interaction, and it really did make me feel suspicious of how she was acting and how she treated one of my agents. So, yeah, I'm glad I told her off. That was, like, the best outcome. Once we got to Horizon Point Station, I made my way to the building where we had to turn on the power. So once we turned on the power, the security system alerted the automechs and they started patrolling the AO. If you don't know what that is, that's area of operations for you who doesn't serve the military. We made our way down the stairs and we could either talk to the guy on the intercom and try to persuade him to shutting down the automechs. It didn't work out. So I went to where Niles was and he gave us a lockpick for the door. We opened the air vents and we made our way in out of the building and we ran into the security automechs and we had a big shootout and eliminated them. I will say that about the sequel, the looting system of the dead that you killed or you stumble upon, some of them, there's like what it's weird. It's hard to describe. So, say I killed like 14 people and they're enemies. YouTube, they're enemies. So I killed 14 of my enemies and only like say 5 or 6 actually had loot on them. The other ones you couldn't look inside their body or anything like that to see if they had ammo, money, medicine, or anything like that. It just didn't do that. So in the sequel, I noticed that the looting system is there. Feels like it's a drawback. So that's the one thing I've noticed, and I didn't like that. Once we took down all the security automechs, my team and I went down into a tunnel and we got word from Agent Deveres. And she said the situation's changed. And once we opened the door, me and my team had a conversation. Helen said that the Agent Deveres is very skittish during the mission and that it's going too well. Why would that be a problem if it's going too well? You would want if you're in an on a mission or doing a sneaking infiltration, you want everything to go smoothly. You don't want to have hiccups or anything like that. So Me and the team actually made a decision and we split up. Niles and Helen went to the command station and I went the security station. And that's because I wanted to work on my sneaking. I found the Automech's terminal to shut them down, but I had other options. Along my journey, I found a auto mechanical targeting module, which will make the Automechs my allies. So I used that instead. Let's just say Agent Deveras was not too happy. So I had to regroup with my team. And along the way, Helen went through the communications and said, something isn't right. And then Niles said, hold on, what's this doing here? And then next thing you know, there's a huge explosion. And I ran in there and found out what was going on. And then Valerie said that Helen was dead and Niles was in critical condition. So I told Valerie there's three options you had. Say, well, Niles is no good to us. You better fucking make sure Niles makes it or I'll make you a bunch of scrap. And I told her this is the one I picked. And I said, take Niles to the ship because he's in critical conditions. She said that she couldn't do it because if she moved him, he would die. But once he stabilizes, she'll transport him to the ship. I took his rifle and we went on along our way. And I didn't care about stealth at that point. An agent of mine died, and another old boy is straight up damn near dying. So I went guns blazing. We took down all of the enemies that were in my way. And I met up with Agent Deveres. And let's just say she is the cause of all of this. Once we opened the door to where she was, she said, why do you have to make everything so difficult? You should have just died. And there was another three options saying what happened, why are you doing this? Or there was one is like, I hope the bits were worth it. Or you could insult her and say, what? You just destroying the whole universe or the system because you're terrible at your job? When I first played the game, that's what I picked. I'm not gonna lie. And then whenever I restarted, I picked the first one to see what the hell's going on. And accordingly, and I'm putting this together right now to this day. Right now, I'm like, what the fuck? She said the grand plan was to reset. The grand plan was for the rifts to make a reset so that the anomalies, aka us, will be eliminated and they can have a reset of the system. That's what I picked up on it. It could be right, I could be wrong, but yeah, I did two resets and well, this one or when I first played in this reset. So that's what happened. I was like, "What the hell? What do you mean?" And so I told her basically, I was like, "Hey, look, Niles is alive. He was fond of you. Now look what you did." And she stopped for a moment and she was like, "Well, I was fond of Niles too." And she was like, "But if I could have saved him, I would have, but it wasn't part of the plan." So she let him die. And she was like, "Goodbye, agent." She said she boasted that she was a better agent than me. And then next thing you know, she actually unloaded the unsealed uh rift. Basically, she caused a big explosion from the unsealed thing that we were supposed to liberate, and it was a huge explosion. Now, this was only the beginning of the game. I'm way past this part. I'm not even done with this game yet. and I'll be putting out a review of the game, and I'll definitely tell y'all if it's worth buying or not. It could shoot up to still be a 9 or 10 or 8 out of 10, and it's still a decent or good game that y'all should get it. I will let y'all know. I'm excited to keep playing this game and everything like that. I didn't have enough footage of my 32-hour playthrough to actually give y'all a more in depth of the 32 hours I did. I didn't want to show y'all any spoilers or anything, so I just showed y'all the beginning of the game. And I will also say that you can have flaws just like in the beginning of the first game, or not even the beginning, throughout the first game. You can have flaws and everything. I was an idiot and I picked up two of them. One of them was that if you remember how I was telling y'all about the skill set, right? Well, my main 3, I was on 3, and then I could boost those up to 4, and I couldn't touch those until I had every other skills matched up to 3 or 4, and then I can boost those up to 5, 6, and then I would have to wait again, and they would gray out. That's how you know it was locked. And the reason why it was to make your whole character a whole well-rounded character of, like, abilities and stuff like that. I regret picking the flaws, even though they gave me an extra fucking perk, like an extra point. Because every time you leveled up, you would actually have 2 points, and you had to pick and choose. The other one gave us three, and I was like, okay, fine, fuck it, and it was cool. My character is actually really, I'd say, decent. I wouldn't pick it again. I would suffer. I would rather do that than fucking mess up my thing. And the other one I picked was kleptomania. And if you don't know the meaning of that meanings, I love to steal and shit. I know y'all are grown asses, so there's still fucking ignorant people out there that know what the kleptomania was. Anyways, so anytime I was walking or if I looked at it and I was not trying to steal, but I went to go talk to a main person like a sheriff or the mayor or a doctor and I saw something like that, my character barely looked at it, would auto steal it. Doesn't matter if you hit it or not. It would just you basically have the urge to be like, take it, and you didn't even want to. It was just that kind of a flaw. That one, I think it gave me extra like XP or some shit. Now there is some good flaws out there that I did some research on because I didn't know if you could take those off or not. They're permanently on there. So my advice is to either take the good flaws. You could Google it. It's not a spoiler, but you could Google which ones are the good flaws you can have or don't fucking take flaws. I didn't take any of the flaws in the first game. I don't know why the fuck I did this time. Guess I wanted to try something new, I guess. But other than that, I have to say this game is so far a 8, not even a 8, maybe a 9 out of 10. Now, the only reason I know this is because the developers too, and I like to have it set either like a resting 5 or 10 out of 10, and then if it gets worse down, this is my grading of the leveling system I do for the reviews. Automatically, will just start out at 10 out of 10, and then if it gets like if things I don't like or whatever will go down. So far it's a 9. And the reason is because in the first game you couldn't romance anybody. And I think that sucks. I wanted to romance someone so badly because I would have picked Pavardi in the fucking first one. She was awesome, dude. She was cute. She was a mechanic. She was smart. She was fucking wholesome. I loved her. She was awesome. Either her or Ellie. Those two completely different characters, different fucking personalities and everything. But that was my choice. That's what I would have picked. Um, and then the second game, I've seen a couple of like cute ones, but that are my companions. I was like, all right, fuck it. I would. Fuck it. Who cares? But no, they didn't add romance. That's the reason why I deducted a point because if Baldur's Gate 3 can have it, why can't this? And if Fallout 4 can have romance, why can't I have romance in Outer Worlds? Now, could they add it in there? Yeah. Will they? I doubt it. I don't know. But so far, it's still a good game. Besides that minor fucking detail, the dialogue system is amazing. The combat and gunplay, everything, even crafting your own ammo. You can craft actual mods. You can do all that sorts of shit, and it is amazing. I love that shit. So right now it's an 8 or 9 right now. So it's between those 2. It could increase and stay on 9 or 8, or it could go lower. I have no idea. I don't even know how it ends, but we will figure that out together. And I appreciate every single one of y'all for watching. And if you like this video, hit that like button. Now, if you like what I do and what I'm doing now, I make content for gaming, and I also do a deep dive in lore. I'm still doing the Mass Effect one, but my God, I had to use AI because I couldn't fucking use those big ass words. So thank God for AI, but I haven't put anything out on that. But anyways, that's what I like to do. I play games because that's my hobby. I've been doing it since I was a kid, and I want to show y'all the games that I actually grew up with and I enjoyed. And I'm gonna make video game reviews that I've played. I'm gonna do Dispatch next, and I fucking love that game. But anyways, that's another day, another video. And if you, like I said, if you like all that, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out tremendously. And if not, either way, just have a wonderful day. And I appreciate y'all. Everyone's welcome.